Good morning, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I guess it's not morning for most of y'all. It is power past power hour now. We are in the after hours. We're going to be talking about what we saw this week. This was some wild price action. We got quite a yeehaw reversal, as we like to call it in the industry here, and we got to see if that's going to hold. Definitely quite a strong move. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to be going through the sectors, giving kind of a rundown on what we saw bounce back, what we're still kind of waiting to see that reversion in, and where we think our money's going to be put to best use going into next week. Let's get on into the charts. Here they come. All right. So first off, a few things we got to get off the agenda here. We seem to be fighting to retain this kind of pattern here, this big rising wedge. Welcome, talk. Welcome, guys. Thanks for thanks for bearing with me here this week. I've been very low energy fighting some bug off, but appreciate you here with me. Hey, DJ. Yeah, I look cool in my sweater. I'm cold in my sweater, brother. I got the chills, but we're here. We're making it happen. So we have this big old pattern that keeps on fighting for relevance here. I think that we are finally trying to kick this and kind of do a fake breakdown here and finally make a turn up and outwards here. I really want to see what we do the next time we encounter this all-time high kind of band, because it's been just a brick wall here. See, once, twice, three times, four, five, six times we bumped our head in this kind of 695, 696-ish kind of region. And this is the area that I want to see what happens on this 1, 2. I said six times. I think this is, if we really count it fairly, once, twice, three times, four times. So I think that this is probably going to be the push that kind of gives, and we can get a nice kind of slingshot from this pullback up on through, and we can kind of curl on up and at least try to get a nice squeeze going here. Whoops. Looking for a ramp like that. Doesn't mean we get it, but that is just perfectly ideal situations here. In general, though, I do like that we kind of shook out again under this 50-day, and now we're trying to hold above it and hold over this key ribbon here. So area of interest for sure, not out of the woods for sure, but I like that we have kind of really showed an incentive to want to break up and outwards here, with this close over the 50%, with this close over the 62% as well. So this is the area that I'll be looking for retest into next week, the 688, 690-ish kind of soft top down to the 50. Perhaps we kind of retest this once more at 680, 650, 687. Sorry about that. And so that could give us a nice entry on maybe an hourly chart. Let's pull that up. So that could look something like, let's get this out of the way. I believe it'd be right about there. Let's double check on a daily. Yeah, so that hourly path, Monday or maybe Tuesday, that would be looking like pulling back to that 686, 687 area. So kind of the top of, let me get rid of this zone, kind of the top of this previous order block. Sorry. There it is. Okay. So see, we come back, we retest the top of this kind of flush out. And this might be an area where we can get involved Monday or Tuesday for that push up and this assault on all-time highs. So interesting setup here. It felt like we really needed to kind of shake loose some liquidity and just kind of give ourselves enough of kind of a squat down momentum to push up again. Seems like this last previous one wasn't enough to build that kinetic energy we needed, and we needed to come down once more. So now again, we've got this kind of, where's my marker? This kind of W setup starting to form, where I'm really interested in what we do in the neckline here. So moving on to Qs. Basically the same chart, just a little bit weaker. We gotta respect the fact that this one, if there is going to be a chart that looks like a kind of retest of this breakdown and then a refail, This one's looking a lot more likely to do that than SPY. I'll pull SPY up just once more. See, that's a lot stronger, a lot higher in its base. To me, this one looks a lot more like a fake breakdown. I think Qs probably do follow. I think the money kind of does want to slosh back into these mega caps as they've kind of started to stabilize post earnings, as we've seen the general trend of well, the AI trade isn't over. We still have strong capex, and we still have companies that are doing it well getting rewarded. If we look at Google, a nice inside day. This one is holding its very high price here. You have Meta, which is fading pretty decently off their earnings pop, but in general was being rewarded. And this is actually a really interesting spot because we're trading right back into the neckline of this W that we talked about. So a good potential for a catch there. We saw Apple, one of the best results here. I thought we might need to sweep out to this 200 day. Maybe not the case. Maybe we're just up and off to the races here. What I'm really looking for is the Microsoft catch. If this Microsoft can finally stabilize, then I think we're really off to the races, because this represents a pretty large, part of the market here, which has not been cooperating at all. The software in IGV just getting brutalized here. But a few things to note. First off, we did hold this previous swing low. So I like to just use the kind of the body of the lowest candle on the daily here to represent the lower part of this band of support. You can also draw it out and see, like, this is a rough zone. It's been respected a few times in the past. So we did hold this. We can also see on the volume profile, this high volume node. That's the point of control, and we did hold this as well. Or I'm sorry, we haven't reclaimed it yet. But once we do, that could be the sign that we're really bottoming here. We did run the 7/8 fib. And we can also just zoom out even more to see that we are kind of at this pivotal neckline here of this higher time frame pattern, also this 200-week moving average. So a lot of potential reasons why we could catch here. Maybe this just kind of needs to be drawn out like this, and in the end, this is all going to be one big consolidation type handle pattern before pushing up higher. Could potentially see a recovery play like and I don't even really think this happens, but I'm just kind of trying to weigh possibilities. You could see an expanding pattern like that. You could also see software never fully recover, but still get a really nice mean reversion trade before going much lower. Could be like a head and shoulders like this. Either way, Microsoft will be what tells the tale there. And another one where we're just kind of drifting back into this kind of key pivot and key levels on a range. So we are in the golden pocket here. And we are also testing. I'm actually going to just take off some drawings. Sometimes it gets a little too messy, and I just have to keep it nice and simple. Just focus on the few lines that I think are really going to move the market here. Sometimes the best TA has the fewest markups on a chart. So the golden pocket, like I mentioned, this is where we're looking for the buyers to step in. Doesn't mean they have to, but if they're going to, this is going to usually be the place they want to. So another thing is this point of control. See that highest volume node? We're just going to draw that out in the bigger shelf here. A few ways you can draw it. I guess I'll do it the full correct way in my book. So there's kind of two tiers of high volume node in my book. There's going to be this super high volume node, and that's going to be like where price kind of consolidates and pins. We're going to zoom in. Interesting you're mentioning Potash there, Tak. I have a chart for you. It's probably on your radar already, but it looks really nice, and I think you're right on the money there. Anyways, for these drawing these volume profile high volume nodes, there's two areas. There's going to be our point of control. You see this dashed line, and that's going to be the actual kind of highest node. And I would even consider these 4 bars. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So see how these 4 bars between those arrows. These are going to be a lot higher volume than when we move down to the next kind of stair step down the mountain here. These ones. So this first one, that's going to be the kind of the biggest pin. So draw the first zone just like that, and I mark this one darker color. I think that's the point of control. But then we still do have this in the context of this higher node overall. And see, now I'm marking this one here because we have this big drop off here, the sharp drop off after this kind of shelf. So this shelf is going to be meaningful and notable. And usually I'll draw this one either lighter color like that. You can also do something like yellow like that. But I think this looks nice. So now this gives us kind of a sharper area of focus within a larger zone of interest. And as you can see, we lost it for now, but we are trying to trade back up into it here. And that's going to be the area of interest. Like I said, I'm sorry, maybe I didn't say it, but the last thing here is that we kind of dipped into this bottoming pattern here as well. So this bottoming pattern is going to look like the same W that we always talk about. See that W there? We have the once down, up, down to form a higher low, and a push through the neckline. And this whole thing is a bottoming structure. So after that, we get the breakout, and now we retrace that move completely. We've filled in this gap. And as you can see by this lower box, where the gap represented, that's where we finally found buyers. So in retrospect, pretty obvious that this would be where we find buyers. We could do a false breakout, and we still have a littler gap down here that it could reach into, but that could definitely just never get touched again. Or that could be the ultimate low. Regardless, this is definitely the area where I think that it makes sense for buyers to step in, this 396. You also have that nice round 400 handle there. So I think long term, if you're getting into Microsoft here, you are not looking too shabby. Also, sometimes it just has to do the thing. But by which I mean spell out its name. There's the M for Microsoft. I always think of the best example ever when McDonald's just had to do the M for McDonald's. And everybody was sitting here up at this second one going, how funny would it be if McDonald's fell 20% and made an M? Then it fell 20% and made an M. So speaking of which, McDonald's actually looking very good here for a push up higher in my book. Breaking through these horizontal or downtrend line pivots, looking ready to rock and roll in a similar kind of look to the beginning of this M, actually, where it broke previous highs, broke a little pennant there, and then had a nice rally. So you might see continuation there. This is off the back of, Pepsi's rocking and rolling. So this is the kind of push and the pull in the market. These risk off names are getting significant bids. I wonder how tobacco's doing very well too. Interesting to see which of these kind of market participants are going to end up winning. Because, SPY, high time frame, it's just curling on over, going from big rally to trading flat. And then it's like, okay, what are we going to actually do? Is it going to be a similar kind of thing where we need to have another major drawdown? At some point this year, yeah. At some point we're going to need to have a correction. And I think it's going to look something similar to this, where we just grind up, and then eventually puke. Interesting. Hey, glass half full. Have I looked at AMT today? No, I haven't looked at much today, guys. I don't know if you can tell. I'm pretty sick here, so I haven't been trading today. I did see a few limit orders got bought or got filled today, but mostly just kind of waiting to get my bearings here. So AMD, ignore my old schizo charts. Me and my friends are making the silliest, Illuminati looking charts possible. This one was pretty fun. What I'm actually seeing here is that we're kind of just trading in a boring old range. We have a pretty clear bottom of a range here. Where are my lines? We have this kind of box here. And then we can just clone this and we have the same kind of look up at the top. So until we kind of break above or below, I see no reason to kind of overthink this. It could be double topping, but into previous all-time highs, I'm not like inclined to say like, oh, this is definitely rejecting. It's still holding the bottom of the range. Some very small hints that it might need to come back down more and fill in some more of this gap is that it couldn't make a new tick high on this push, and then it did make a new tick low on this weekly push. That being said, still at the bottom of the range. Let's see what it does. On the oscillators, monthly, just starting to curl out just a little, but remember that doesn't mean that the price has to slow down. It could be curling over like this. See how up at the top of the screen here, this oscillator, the green line starts curling over. That corresponds to this little flagging, monthly flagging of like 4 months, 5 months, 6 months of consolidation. As this curls over, it still can surge much, much higher, but just means that maybe it's in this consolidation, but it has been for 1, 2, 3, 4 months now as well. So could be in the next couple months ready to go. The weekly is going to kind of decide for me whether it needs to wait those couple more months or whether it can kind of turn the corner here, put in a new low, and then push higher directly. So if it can catch and kind of put in a higher low, we're talking about the green line here on the oscillator up top. This can do something like, so it comes down, pops up, comes down, makes a higher low as the gray line here, the slower moving average, curls up slower and catches it. If it could give that kind of look, it could maybe do this immediate continuation right now where this ends up pushing higher, and that would look like a breakout to all-time highs. So not 100% sure on where AMD is going to go. Chips in general, really nice catch. This is where they needed to catch, and they did. Really nice catch off of that rising 50-day. So this one seems to be reloading like this and ready for another push up. Now we do have this kind of immediate test of a sharp downtrend line like this. I think that probably it would make sense to cool off and put in a higher low, something like down, up like that or something. So if you are not fully in or anything, don't worry. I think there will be more chances, but just hard to bet against these names. Really hard to bet against these names. I think any dips are just going to be buying opportunities on names like Micron, stuff like that for the foreseeable future. I just don't see these things dying. I think this pullback is going to be similar to this pullback, maybe more like this pullback, where it's just in the process of tightening out as the market decides what it's doing overall. Something like that. In general, high time frame structure still looking real good. On the weekly, we are still just way on up here over the weekly clouds. So the first couple times we dipped into this weekly cloud, we responded really nicely. We'll see what happens as these catch up. But on the daily, we are just retransacting this 21 for the first time since this big breakout. Nothing to worry about there. The other leaders in the space are going to be SanDisk, still looking beautiful, still surfing up that moving average as well. WDC, this one looks like it's ready to go further, huh? STX, the last in the space, also looking ready to go higher in my book. So yeah, don't short these names. Oh man, Tyler, Pepsi over Coke. I don't know how to feel about you. That's questionable. That's the first questionable opinion I think I've heard you have. All right, we're scrolling on down. What else we got? Hey, Mike, good to see you. Good to see you. Who else we got in the house? Good to have you all in here. Okay, so we talked about the chips, the strength in the chips. We talked about the relative weakness in Qs overall because of that software component in the IGV, in the Microsoft. Definite weakness here, but we're starting to see interest in this catch zone. Moving on to some of the momentum sectors. What about space? Space got walloped and is holding, but it's just like these moves are so big They look small on this chart, but this was a 30% drawdown from all-time highs here. I do believe we're going higher. I just have starters still. They are back to break even. I got in at 150. We are now, I'm sorry, $100.50. Just over the 100 handle. We are now trading at 101. So nothing too crazy. Just got into this wick, and now we're right back here, still in the same kind of range. Same play here, playing off of this high, previous swing high. Rocket Lab, same setup, same situation. This one has the falling or the rising 50 here to come support us. ASTS, I think we're trading, a bit above the 50 as well. So this will be rising support. Rocket Lab looking like a bit more ready. So looking to add into this one next week. RDW also gave the entry off of the 50-day. That was really nice if you were patient there. And still think this one is, see, it was following this path really nicely. Had to wash out a bit more. That's okay. Still think we're kind of more or less on track for a retest and probably breakout of this all-time downtrend line. Let's see. Okay, we got some names in the chat. We got App. Is App finally catching off of that? Mamma mia, old crayons. Sometimes they just hit. That 360, 367 was our equilibrium, our high time frame equilibrium. We transacted there. It's also this previous breakout level from this big pennant. Needed to come all the way back down to where it was coiling before it squeezed. And lo and behold, that's where the long-term buyers are. You can see on the left side too, on this volume shelf here. And bada bing, bada boom. Sometimes it's that easy. I wish I had this one on my screen because I wasn't looking for this. But they'll do this where it's like, if you know where to look and you have your alerts, it'll so often come back to your price. You just got to be patient. And it just looks like an impossibility when you're trading way the heck up here, 50% higher. But you know what? Just picking your spots here can really pay off. I appreciate that, glass half full. Yeah, I'm gonna be logging off like half an hour or so. Not my longest marathon stream, but we're gonna get our time in here. So yeah, thoughts on TQQQ and Roblox? Thanks for the well wishes there, by the way. Day party experience. Yeah, let's talk. So we mentioned QQQQ, TQQQ, just giving some leverage on that. In general, I mean, this chart honestly looks even better than Q's to me, just because I don't know, it's only trading a little bit extended from its 200-day. If we look at Q's, like if we didn't catch, and we haven't necessarily confirmed if we reject these moving averages, the 200-day is still pretty far down there. Look at SPY. 200-day is pretty far down here. But then if you look at these leveraged instruments, it starts looking a little more reasonable, even though this shouldn't matter. Maybe it does. I don't know. I have definitely. I'm not above doing TA on some leveraged products here. Look at that. You have that previous all-time high too. Excuse me. Respected very well there so far. So kind of wondering if maybe it is time to just slap some money in TQQQ and go about your day, go about your life. Meanwhile, Roblox, is it time to buy? These are really old drawings, but it's a similar kind of look to App, isn't it? So you have the big parabolic move, and now we're coming all the way back to where we went parabolic from. Also this high volume node. If we zoom on back, we're even coming back to some really old levels that I did not think would be revisited in a long time. But what are we really seeing, guys? I mean, it's a deep cutback, but we are in the golden pocket. And this could be a cup and a very deep handle. I don't know, though. I don't know what the narrative is for Roblox. I know they've been having some legal trouble. Sounds kind of sketchy, the stuff I've been hearing, but I don't know how true any of it is, regarding child safety and all of that. So, heck, I don't know. If you want to pick your spot, there's reason to believe that this makes sense. We had this monthly imbalance where we just squeezed from, got crazy. We doubled, I think, from there, over a double. 130%. So now we revert that move. We're kind of back to a realistic level. Something to think about there. Not the worst look. So we can see this tighten up. I wonder if there's some other kind of bombed out names that were leaders at this time, which might do something similarly. Here's Hims. This one still has a ways to go if it wants to go to the 50. Maybe from this impulse leg comes down here to this 200 month as well, around the 20 handle. So just areas to potentially look for on some of these previous high flyers. I think Talk mentioned coin as well. We can take a look at that chart. A lot of these similar looks. So did this one hold the low? Held the low. So yeah, long term, I guess you can buy this. Definitely oversold. It's under this 200. That 200 probably reclaims and acts as support. I never like buying a triple bottom because, like, what are you doing, brother? Why are you down here? Well, you know what? It doesn't feel good buying a chart that needs to come back after a strong double bottom off of a stage one base breakout. It's like, what are you doing down here? I guess it's like you can argue complex handle, just shaking bulls out. But hey, I don't know. It looks really ugly to me, but I do think that it might work out. I don't know how else to say it. Another one. It's like, man, are we gonna have a significant drawdown because some of these previous market movers, they're just not moving right? Hood. I mean, I guess we did get a big wick back here so far, but it's just still just puked this 200 so severely. It's like still 20% under its 200. That's crazy. So is this like a real washout in these names? Are these trends finally done trending? Because look, we've had this happen before where it's like, what is structure doing? It's going to puke to the 200 and then violently reclaim and off to the races. Puke to the 200, violently reclaim. Is this just like a more extended, more violent puke through and violent reclaim, or is this the start of something new? I don't know. I am hesitant when I see these previous leaders like Hood acting like this, just slicing through the 200 ASTS, slicing through its 20. Now it is back testing. So this one could be catching like we talked about. But in general, just these momentum names getting hammered like this, a little worrying. We saw the rare earth metal space also get hammered. This one's actually looking pretty decent though, just coming back into the rising 21 day here on USAR. Talk saying buy power on, or I'm sorry, buy dips on MPWR, ETN, VRT, GEV, and CAT. So basically, infrastructure and power grid build out stuff is what it sounds like to me. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wow. Yeah, this has just been a powerhouse, no doubt. Just onwards and upwards here. ETN, very high quality. Eaton Corporation. Oh, wow, that one's looking very nice. Very nice for the long term. These are boring, but hey, boring works. What is it? Ivanhoe Electric is very interesting. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this one, Talk. I believe they just bought a copper mine or something. So they're thinking ahead, getting vertically integrated here. Yeah, keep this one on your watch list. Just retesting, bopping around previous all-time highs. I like this look. GEV, we've been holding this one for a long time. Not many shares. It's very expensive, guys. I'm not a rich man, but I am a proud shareholder of at least one shiny share. Let's put it like that. And it is starting to do the thing, break out here very nicely. I'm not selling till you get to 1,000. I'll sell some there. And Cat, I don't own Cat. Wish I did. I own a Cat. And look at that, just powerhouse high and tight flag breaking out for more. Crazy moves on these. VRT is mentioned as well. Vertiv. This one looking great. We had this flag, this double bottom marked out. Oops. This one looks like it might be ready to start going. Start rocking and rolling. And you can see I added this. I love using these volume profiles. You can use them as a tool on TradingView here. This extended, what do they call it? Fixed range volume profile. So it's an actual indicator here that I can draw from like this place to this place, and it'll draw this and tell me all of the zones of interest here. So as we can see it developing here, I will zoom in. And you can see this pivot starting to form. Actually, I'll go to a daily. You could see this pivot here. And you could say, hey, if we go under this and reclaim, I'm a buyer. So go under and reclaim right there. You're a buyer. You catch that nice move. We lose it again and reclaim here. Get another nice move there. Invertive looking to me like it's cooking this little downtrend line here, little flag action. We got a flag on a flag. Always bullish to see that kind of nested pattern there. Really nice retest here as well on the 50-day. So this chart, very constructive. I like this one a lot. And glass half full, you want to look at some more software? Absolutely. It's a good time to take a look at these. MDB, this one's holding up better than most. It's just like old lines here. Old lines just telling the tale. Still holding where it needs to. Going to repurpose these to the bottom of this high volume node on the left here. Aligns with the shelf. Like it's holding. This is a sketchy structure though, I gotta say. On the daily. On the higher time frame here, first thing that jumps out is we have this big old thick old downtrend line here. Bada bing, bada boom. I do think this resolves up eventually. I think these guys are going to be one of the winners. I don't think anybody's going to be vibe coding themselves in a Mongo database. That'd be pretty cool if you can. Go for it. In general, big old consolidation pattern. Give it time. Should reward you. Maybe you get a chance to buy off the 300. If this is a bottom for software, then it would kind of make sense to come in here. I just worry about this kind of structure with this much kind of downwards pressure here on this this zone of interest, this blue block. See all these thrusts downward like this, and you almost have this look that's kind of like a potential head and shoulders. See this moving averages, the ribbon, it's going to come like that. So it could head bonk us right there. Something to think about. So maybe we get the relief bounce, but the pain isn't quite over yet for these names. That's possible. Some other good names in the space to watch. Datadog. So from this point, I thought we needed a higher low pullback. It made a lower low, so I can't be ready to buy this one yet, but it's just on my list. CrowdStrike also on my list for a high quality name here. Oh, apologies. I just realized I didn't actually hit screen share in Discord. Let me get that going for y'all. I apologize there. So CrowdStrike coming into this other area of interest. We have this previous all-time high, which we had to consolidate around before pushing higher. Now we're back into this previous all-time high, which we had to consolidate before pushing higher. Now we're back here again. I wonder if this might be ready to go. So again, it's a similar kind of look that we're seeing across the market here where we came back into where we broke out from. So I'm going to zoom this zone right into the actual gap where we gapped up and broke out from. And lo and behold, where did we transact? To the penny? Almost to the exact penny. It's right there. Actually, is it to the exact penny? Guys, it's close. The high of this day, 374.71. The low of this day, 374.52. Pretty close, guys. Pretty close. So we essentially just overlapped into that, just covered that gap, and now it may very well be putting in a long-term bottom. These will not go straight V shape straight through the roof. They will need to make a higher low at some point, even if it's way up here and it's just like that. So don't feel like you need to chase. I think more realistically, something like that probably. And it could take a while too. Could happen pretty fast because the flush out was so severe, but it could take some time like that. Kind of think about the move like this one. Big flush out, comes up, bam, back down. Then it's the high time frame ready to go by. I actually kind of like that look for a similar pattern here. Because see, we had a fractal going on with this structure and this structure. I'll clone this so you can see what I'm talking about. So gently descending flag into the 200 day, gently descending flag into the 200 day, stuck under. Once we lose the 50, we get stuck under the blue cloud. Once we lose the 50, we get stuck under the blue cloud into that falling 200. So it's a wedge like that, but it's a controlled sell. We are basically controlled selling into the previous area of breakout here. So this low area right under the high volume node, we transacted into there. So now, same thing, we come back down and we transacted through this low volume node, which is into the 300 or the 400. So a lot of similarities in that regard. But down here, we were trying to hold this structure. You can see where we do the peekaboo above the ribbon, above the downtrend line, peekaboo above. But then we could not turn the corner like we could here. We just kind of flushed out. So now I think we needed to do this kind of deeper heel all the way down to this breakout, to the gap fill, similar to this one where we have this breakout gap fill right there. So that's actually the pattern that I really like. That's similar. We fill this. Now we're going to come back up around to the 50 day, come back up around to the 50 day or the 200 day, then puke it again, make a double bottom off of this kind of zone here under 400. So I think it's time to start a position here under 400. If you get an offering under 400 again, probably time to add on a reclaim of that 400. So not the first retest, but the retest and then the push back above that 400. Kind of what I'm seeing there. Talk saying they paused on uranium, but will buy Sprott uranium instead of stocks. I like that. That's probably smart. Yeah, and potash. So LXU is my pick. LSB Industries. I think these guys look very promising for the fertilizer potash kind of complex there. These guys, I need to double check on the fundamentals. I'm almost positive they do primarily potash. What do you call it? Based fertilizer. This to me looks like a really nice handle that's curling out after a really nice cup here. So long term, I think that it is ready to go. It's looking very similar to what we're seeing here. We have this kind of gradual come down and then big spike down, and then a return to this kind of gradual cupping shape. And then you can kind of break out. So what I'm seeing is a similar thing where you have this gradual kind of come down, then the big flush. Then it can push up, kind of mitigates the sellers here. Now another gradual push down, a little bit of a small flush. Now I'd like to see this kind of pattern continue and try to come back up and mitigate the same level, similar to how we saw that happen with this kind of pattern here, this surge up through. See how previously we come up, but we don't surge through. Here we come up, but we don't surge through. And then we curl out, and come up. So hopefully we're seeing something like this. I need to look into the fundamentals of why these names are looking good to me. I don't know why. Fertilizer might be the play, but interesting. We can also look at a few other ones in the space here. NTR, Nutrien. MOS, kind of a shitco, no pun intended, but chart-wise, looking kind of compelling here. Is this a potential W bottom? Kind of looks like it. Is this one to keep on the list for sure? Talk mentioning that Hood and SoFi look the same. Yeah, SoFi is another name that looks very similar. One of these previous leaders, which is just not acting right, just slicing through their 200 day. And in terms of other fintech, yeah, Dave was having a hard time slice through its 200 day. There was another one I was watching, can't remember right now. But yeah, a lot of these ones having a hard time. Lots of bad debt being realized. Talk asking if I bought BE. I still just have my starter position. I've been so out of it this week. I haven't really been building into anything that's kind of risky. I think this is a megaphone being built out at all-time highs. Definitely think it's going higher. It's just a matter of how it gets there. It's just such an aggressive slant on this megaphone here. Something like that. I don't know. Regardless, did the mitigation block back up here. Beautiful. Holding the moving averages as they flatten out. It can maybe reconsolidate even. So see how it's widening here? It could maybe have to start the process of tightening up. Maybe make this kind of equilateral triangle here. I don't know what this means, but it's provocative. Whenever I draw lines and they kind of do these equilateral shapes. I don't know. I like BE. I like the chart. I still have a starter. I want more. Yeah, talk mentioning the NTR as well. Okay. News for sure, especially with Canada on potash. Okay, yeah, so I got to do my homework. I figure it's something fundamental, some demand squeeze situations. Yeah, we'll take a closer look at that this weekend for sure. Talk mentioning that he's selling BE today off the bounce. Good earnings, but a little extended for you. Whoops. There's BE. I mean, just like what I'm seeing is like this kind of pattern. It's hard to buy with high confidence, right? Like it's not like a really pretty tight consolidation pattern yet. The highest volume in this consolidation up here has been sellers after earnings. You do see the potential for a little bit of a curve too at previous all-time highs. What I'd really like is a retest of this gap and just a quick little flush out. All right, so I'm gonna go John Madden for you here. So we have this curl over, right? You see this yellow ribbon representing an uptrend. When we have the blue ribbon, it represents a downtrend. Just represents whether we're trading above or below this 921 moving average ribbon. So you can see as it rolled here and as we lost it, there was some chop as we back tested it. So we might be seeing that same chop here before we get repriced down a little bit. What I would like is this previous W top, see 1, 2, 3, W like that. I would like that to be the area where we retest. It's also where this rising 50-day is. Let's clear up the chart and refresh our memory. So we have that W and then we have this gap and we have our 50-day. So between the three, it's an area of interest right about there. This 120-ish zone for me, 115. I would love to see a really quick whip down into there and then a reclaim. Flush it on down, retest the bottom of this kind of structure, high or low off of this 50-day. And that could be your buy, or you could buy through the reclaim of that structure perhaps. That's kind of how I'd like to play this one, but it's not like an A+ setup for me. It's just like a name that like high time frame, it is very, very strong and looks like it wants to go very much higher. It's just a matter of how we get there. I do believe this one can be a 5-bagger from here, to be completely honest. If the narrative fully plays out. Okie dokie. Been going 45 minutes here. Guys, I am running out of steam. Drop in your top most focused charts. I'm going to run through anything else that I think I really need to tell y'all. But let's talk about what you really want to talk about and get me out the door, get you out the door. And we'll talk more next week, of course. Some big movers, just all the momentum, just rocking and rolling in both directions. ONDS, hey Hercules Jack, good to see you. Yeah, I almost bought this morning, and I went back to sleep, and then I went to a doctor. So it looks like I should have bought. Again, very similar look here, guys. Remember, we had the breakout. We're coming back. We're retesting the breakout. I was saying that 10 was my zone to buy. I just wanted to find buyers there. We are finding buyers under 10, so I like ONDS. It is on the focus list. I'll drag this on up to the top of the focus. I also still really like BW. This one's still acting nicely. I think it's just retesting the top of this megaphone here. Structure wasn't too great high time frame, so it makes sense that it needs to wash out just a little bit. I still think under 10 is a bargain on this guy. Just might take some time. The nuclear basket, the SMR small scale reactor, guys. This weird sideways handle thing didn't work, but potential for a higher low forming now. Did hold where it needed to. Probably long term, this thing reverts on upwards, and it looks like a W that's going to push up higher. My baby U. I think it's a handle. I think it's going to take a sweet time. It might chop down even further to 18 or 19, but I do think it'll break out further going on upwards and outwards, going forward. A-Lab having a monster day, up 19%. I think the A-Lab might finally be ready, so I'm going to be looking for this one to tighten up early next week, and potentially send it on this one because I've been waiting. I've been watching. It could not break through this 50% fib multiple times. So now we'll flip this fib around, show you this golden pocket action here. We wash out through the 7.8 fib, actually all the way down to the 8.86, but we just needed that 200-day. You always just wait for the 200-day flush out, and then you get the oops reversal if it's a good name. So this one had a great flush out off the rising 200. That's what I was waiting for, this whole constructive pattern. And just like before, when we played it before, it frustrated us and needed to tap multiple times into this 200 before finally taking off and going. So I think this one could be about to lift off. Don't sleep on A-Lab. This is at the top of my focus list as well. Anything else that I really care about? We talked uranium, we talked some drones with the ONDS. I think that's my favorite. UMAX still compelling as well. I wanted that 200-day, did not get it. LTRX, interesting potential acquisition target by ONDS, actually. Long time frame, long-term horizon. I like this chart a lot too. Look at that accumulation volume through this downtrend in the stage 1 base. I think this one goes much higher. Just might take its time. Space, lunar, big name, big upside there. Again, I think high time frame. These are going to keep ripping. Big cup and handle on the high time frame there. Tyler saying A-Lab. Yeah, we mentioned the A-Lab. Nice. INOD. INOD. Is this InnoData? Is this what do they do? Are they like OUST and AEVA? Are they one of those LiDAR ones? I don't know. I think this one's looking a little sus. A little questionable, to be honest. I don't love this progression as it flattens out on the monthly, but it's not bad. It's not violating anything too fierce. That 200 week, that's what I would need to see. Reclaim to get back in on this one here, 52-ish. So watch for a 52 reclaim, 50 to 52. Yeah, the 200-day and the 200 week in this 52 to 54 zone. Got to say, it doesn't spark joy, but it could have just been wicking back into this previous breakout area. Synopsis, NSPS. This one looks strong from what I recall, relatively speaking, in the space. Yeah, just filling in this gap here, potentially forming this bigger W like I'm looking at here. I think that I like this one more than most. Software as a service. Pretty sure they're software as a service. Yeah, so interesting look there. APLD putting in a massive 25% day. This makes me happy. I have some resting shares in this that were just getting beat and beat and beat. So not a bad look here as it's starting to kind of reclaim. some areas of interest and just reset up under this pivot. So keep an eye on these and the other data center plays as well. This is the one that I really like. The other one's looking a lot less appealing here. Hut, not so bad. It's not top of the focus. AMRC also having quite a day. I thought it was going to reach down to this 200 day, just could not quite make it. LUMN as well. Woo, what a reclaim after another crime tap here into the 200 day at the 610 to the penny. That said, that's all she wrote. We're going back up. What a move there. All right, so there's some names that I'm watching for y'all. Credo, CRDO. Purple Cable Company got flushed out something fierce. This is another one that's a little bit worrisome, and it's kind of goes to show why I don't like buying triple bottoms, guys. We talked about a few charts today that I'm saying, hey, like, yeah, I understand why people are interested in this one. Coin, for example, Coin is right here, essentially pushing off of a triple bottom. Let's go to Coin, compare it to Credo. Put this one on a weekly to show you. See the triple bottom here? I was always taught, Mama always taught me there's no such thing as a triple bottom. So you see this coin, and then we're going to go back to Credo. See the triple bottom ends up just failing quite often and then just plunging through where it should be support, this 200 day. It's just not a good look when something double bottoms and then doesn't, then comes back again. It's very sus. So just look at every other significant bottoming area. This one here came down and then it made a new low. So bad bottom, not valid bottom, needs to flush out further. Now comes up, makes a higher low, good bottom. That one counts. How about right here? Comes down, comes up, makes a new low, bad bottom. Needs to rebase. Flushes down, comes up, comes down, makes a lower or a higher low, good bottom. Can push. Here's a tricky one. This one does make a lower low here, but it does it off of a flattening 200 day. So a very real reason for them to undercut this previous one just a little bit there, just to mess with your head, just to shake you out there a little bit. So technically lower low. So it's not an always thing, but there's usually a reason when it doesn't follow the rule. See that? And sometimes it's a big washout, like a long-term bottom could be a lower low to really just wash out, basically have capitulation and really wash out any buyers before a major secular move. So Credo. Sketchy. I don't know about this one. Could recover and back, keep on working its way back up, but this could be one of those old guard names that just needs to take a load off for a while, similar to Hood, these names that are just knifing through these 200s. So keep an eye on that one. Not 100% sure. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap it up here. We will talk soon, guys. So next week we're doing more earnings reports. I've been having a real good time despite my low energy. I've been really enjoying giving you these earnings reports after the bell. It's keeping me sharp and getting my head in the game and thinking about more high time frame narratives and what I can bring to you in terms of value and expressing these narratives, how they're going to affect the market as they play out through these earnings. So join us next week. We're going to be doing more of that. And we are also, of course, going to be doing our usual great programming, and we're expanding every week. So in the mornings, be sure to come on in and join us Monday through Thursday with the great Money Mitch and Michael Noss every morning, Monday through Thursday, there for a couple hours out of the gates. I will be joining that show on Wednesday, so you can catch me there if you want some Steve in the morning. Otherwise, Steve in the afternoon, every power hour. We're going to be doing me, and then for the earnings, I should be doing those after the bell as well. So keep on keeping on. We're going to be filling out our broadcasting here going forward, our programming, so you'll have live content throughout the whole day. Eventually, we are going to be just coming at you live with more and more information, more great content for you. Thanks as always for tuning in, guys. Next week, what's on tap for me personally? hopefully feeling not sick. So we're going to start there. We're going to be hitting the ground running with some of these really good setups that we are starting to see solidify after quite a big washout here. So hang in there, guys. I know it hasn't been a very fun week in the market, but we are going to make that money. So take care, everybody. I will see you on the other side. Have a good one. Steve out.